welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, oh, fudge. They made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Helly
and
Tyler Hymanson.
And we're back for another holiday episode following our much-loved Home Sweet Home Alone episode.
Yes.
That was a fun one. But we're back for the holidays here for A Christmas Story of all movies. But before we get too far into it, we got a couple things. First, Eliz, where can people reach out to us?
Yeah, you can send us an email at sequelrights@gmail.com or find us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Sequel Rights.
And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. 5 glorious Christmas stars goes a long way in helping other people find the podcast. If you've already done that, feel free to go on the social media, tweet out your favorite holiday franchises we've done. We've done a fair amount at this point. We've done your Home Alones, your Jingle All the Ways, your
Santa Clauses.
Your Santa Clauses. Claus-I.
We've done them all.
Yeah.
Literally, no.
And there's a Christmas Beethoven movie out there.
That's right. That's right. We're going to hit them all eventually. And this month, we're doing A Christmas Story. And here with us today, we have a special guest with us, Wes Marskell from the Darcys. If you haven't heard the Darcys, they're an awesome indie rock band from Canada. Check them out. Wes, thanks for being here with us, man.
Thanks for having me. I also wanted to point out that Jingle All the Way is my absolute favorite Christmas movie.
Oh my gosh. What about Jingle All the Way 2, though? I mean,
No, I've not seen that.
Okay.
It stars Larry the Cable Guy, and I don't recommend it.
I blocked it out.
So many bears.
So many bears. Well, that's great because this movie has a Jingle All the Way connection. So
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I watched this morning.
no, actually, this movie
the sequel.
The next movie does.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I was like, I missed that too.
Yeah.
The next movie. But yeah, thanks for being here, man. Do you want to tell listeners anything about the band? This is the perfect time to
I gotta
plug all your
myself.
Christmas songs and stuff.
Well, it's true. I have a Christmas song called Another Log on the Fire, which is a very romantic Christmas song. It has it's about, putting another log on the fire, keeping the night going a little longer.
To do what?
To be,
But like why?
well,
Please tell us in explicit detail.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a story I probably can't tell, but I actually got accosted by a woman who didn't understand sort of the metaphor and thought
I see.
The 2 logs meant something else.
Oh no!
And, one woman, 2 logs sort of Christmas experience. And she approached me at a coffee shop and she's like, "You're that guy from that band I saw," because we have like NPR, we have this thing called CBC, and she was like, "I heard your song on CBC. I can't believe they're playing it. I've seen the album cover. It's disgusting. I know what you 2 are up to and the song's about." And I was like,
Oh my
what?
God.
Like putting another log on the fire because one's almost done. Next one on.
Yeah.
She's like, no, 2 dicks. And I was like, lady,
you took it there.
This is your thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing to do with your
What's on your mind?
Christmas fire roasting. So anyway, check that song out. And if you are in a band and you haven't done this yet, make a Christmas song because 200,000 streams a year, honestly.
Yeah.
This song's about to hit 1 million plays. It's been out for a couple of years.
Dang.
It is a genius life hack.
Nice.
We have real music, but this is really the song.
No, that's right.
This is the one everyone knows.
It's the second log in my fire.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah, check out the Darcys. They're great. Why don't we get into A Christmas Story right now?
In this modern age, too many people have lost sight of the true meaning of Christmas.
Mom! Hush! Shut up, Ralphie!
So now, in the spirit of the original,
Me to you! Stop!
traditional, American Christmas,
Thanks a lot!
MGM presents A Christmas Story.
Dashing through the snow
Uncle!
in a one-horse open sleigh. For the field we go, laughing away. Bells on bobtail ring.
What the hell is that trailer?
What did you choose here?
I'm like, I had to let it play into this like crazy
Oh my
song
God.
remix of sound clips. Or
Okay, but like
whatever.
the movie has like almost no score or like vocal songs, really.
It's got a classic Zaza score. I don't know what song. Paul Zaza, composer for My Bloody Valentine. Yeah, there's not much. There's some songs, some random songs.
Yeah, like a choir singing in the
Yeah.
background. Yeah. Interesting.
That's the wrong trailer, though. I thought this was the Bob Clark Christmas classic, Black Christmas.
Yes. That trailer is real creepy.
Yeah.
We'll have to play this trailer for our many trailer music friends.
Yeah.
To show them what not to do.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But that's like the trailer that's on the Blu-ray and the official trailer
Goodness.
that's out. So I was like, all right, whatever. Go for it.
As a musician, what's your critique of that trailer?
Honestly, as I mentioned right before I got both my shots, and I honestly thought I was hallucinating while that was happening. I kind of have one ear on and one ear off, and I was like, am I just zoning in right now? You guys are just talking. And
Am I hearing this right?
nuts. I don't understand what images could be clipped to that. What's
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb. Yeah, so does everyone want to kind of like talk about if they have any? Have you seen A Christmas Story before?
Right.
Sure. Any experience with this movie?
I have seen this movie out of sequence and chopped up as I have been in and out of rooms as it's been on TBS ad nauseum throughout my
24
entire
hours,
life.
yeah.
And I don't think I ever sat down to watch it all the way through until yesterday when I watched it for the purpose of this podcast.
Nice.
And I think that part of the reason is that it kind of has this like Bob Clark chose to, because it's this nostalgic remembrance. It's all very like washed out and like it has like this family portrait look to it that even as I was watching it, I was like, no, I don't like this. It looks bad. I don't like it.
Interesting.
But yeah, I very much enjoyed the experience. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was definitely, I think I culturally was adjacent enough to it to understand most of what happened in the movie.
Yeah.
But I was definitely surprised by some of the things that I saw actually watching it chronologically.
Right. Watching it through.
Yeah.
Yeah, before the TBS thing was a thing, we would definitely watch this. Like my dad would put it on every year or whatever, and so I knew of it. And then now that I'm older, I'll usually maybe watch it while wrapping Christmas gifts or something because it's on TBS. Or it's also a good one to put on after the Christmas parade, but before dinner to just be in the background as your relatives are like chit chatting and whatnot.
It just has the sound of Christmas, even if you're not really paying attention to it.
Yeah. So yeah, I know it pretty well.
Nice. What about you, Wes?
I also saw it in fragments growing up. I think my dad likes this movie. I know It's a Wonderful Life is like a Christmas movie that I'm force fed every year by him, and like weirdly like an Eagles documentary at the same time.
Okay.
You play them concurrently. It's like Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, exactly. And
Wait, like Eagles the animal? Or are you talking about
No, the band.
football team?
hell freezes
Oh, the
over.
band. Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's like Jimmy
There's
Stewart
so
is
many options of what you could be
He really
talking
likes
about.
Jimmy Stewart's totally Don Henley. It works out that way.
Okay.
Well, it's weird because I think at a certain age, my dad was like, "Oh, like I smoke weed and I'm just gonna like watch the Eagles at Christmas," and it's like a miserable experience. But he's just like, "This is the greatest music ever made," and I'm just like,
man.
"This movie sucks. This band sucks. It all sucks. I'm not high. It's all bad. Yeah, this is like some weird like dad grass. It's like doing nothing for me.
Yeah. Even if I was high, it wouldn't be what I wanted.
Yeah.
But so
not happening.
watching it like in its entirety, I have to admit I didn't like it any more than I thought I didn't like it coming into it. Mm-hmm. But it got me later on when he, not to give too much away, but when he gets the gun at the end, I still had that moment because my parents, when I play in this band and I got my first drum kit was like when I was in grade 5, I got it for Christmas. And my mom, I don't know why she did this, but she sent my brother into my sister's room to get something, and then somehow it was the drums for me. So he was like, I didn't get shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, your fucking drums are in there. And then,
Oh my god.
and so his Christmas was ruined. And then I had these drums, and then everyone immediately,
Which made it even sweeter.
but then they regretted it immediately because then I just banged on the drums for a really long time, however old you are at 5 years old. But that had, like, I had that moment. I like that sort of moment. Though I watching it this time, I was kind of like, is this movie better if he doesn't get the gun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it would teach a better lesson or something.
Because I don't know. I didn't get the point of, like, there's a lot going on in this movie that I was like, it's almost makes more sense as fragments. Like, this is a nice 5-minute move. Like, they should just play it in fragments between other movies during.
That's definitely how it's set up. Too.
Commercial breaks.
I think that's amazing about it, where it's like, I feel like that there was nothing really lost in the way that I have watched it for 30 years of just like it's, I'm on a carousel and it's playing on one side and I only see it when I come around the other side of it.
A bar of soap? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I don't know if you want to save this, but the thing I didn't remember
Get right into it. Yeah.
was the end.
Yeah.
In the restaurant. And I
Yes.
was like, this is
Yes.
the thing I probably shouldn't have seen in 2021. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
this is rough.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on. And it was really the only part that I didn't really see in some forum.
Yeah. I wonder if they've cut that out for cable at this point.
No, they definitely
Because I have a.
It's like critical.
I was gonna say I feel like that's a lot of people's like favorite.
that is
part.
a lot. I mean, like, okay, so like obviously you can't see me on the podcast, but as your resident Asian American, I will tell you, like, my family loves that scene. Like my whole life, like, like their favorite scene. And this is like my mom and my dad, not my grandparents, obviously, but and my mom's side of the family always makes fun of the older generation for various hilarious stories over the years where they couldn't say their L's and R's, like how my grandmother called this guy Carl cow and they didn't know who she was talking about, and like, all these things, somebody named Florence, somebody named Cheryl, like it's just, and it is what it is. I mean, I did look it up. These were Chinese guys in Toronto that they just were like, okay, the first 4 Toronto Chinese men that make it here get to be in the movie.
So, because the restaurant looked familiar, so it's in Toronto, because that's where I grew up. Yeah. So,
yes,
that makes
apparently it's a French restaurant now, but it's still a restaurant.
Right.
So they're all Chinese. I mean, to me, it would be different if it was like, Mickey Rooney in Yellowface or something like that. I mean, it's a pretty, yes, it's racist, it's a stereotype, but it's, of all the stereotypes, it's on the more harmless end, I have to say. Like,
suppose.
but it's one of those like, oh, it's okay when we make fun of it, but like,
Right.
I don't know.
I was watching this movie and I had like totally forgotten that scene was even in the movie.
Right.
Because I hadn't seen it in a long time. But I was like watching the movie and I was thinking like, wow, okay, this movie came out in the 80s. It's based on a book that, was written in the 60s and it's about the 40s. And I'm like, I'm surprised that, like you're almost done with the movie. And I'm like, wow, there's not like some like really
I was
terrible
surprised there
racist
wasn't
shit.
any racist things earlier.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh no, it's the most racist thing at the very end.
Yeah, and just watching it through like sitting there and actually watching it and through today's lens, I was surprised. There was like a black kid in the class and in the scene, and there was like black people in the choir and the parade scene and all these things. And I was like, and one of their neighbors, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't expect that, because a lot of times when we watch old movies, it's just like completely white. And I mean these, it is racist, but like, I don't know.
I felt really
could be so much worse.
Yeah, that's true. I felt bad that they're like the family is like laughing at them. Like,
Right, that's funny. I mean, that part's not funny.
Yeah.
What is funny is the duck head getting hit off and her screaming, because apparently they didn't even tell the actress that was going to happen.
Yeah, that was a surprise
and so
thing,
it was
yeah.
real or whatever. But yes, it is othering them. They can't sing "Follow la la." They're eating weird duck, whatever. But
Chinese turkey,
I
I
don't
think they call
know.
it.
In the end, like, that was their Christmas, so
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's an earnest trying by all the actors, and like they're not playing it as like they're stupid or
no.
terrible.
They're kind of like trying to hold in their laughter. Yeah.
I'm sorry I brought this up so early.
No, it's fine.
The thing that struck me from the beginning of this movie was, why is there, like, how many open barrel fires are in this community? There's like 6 in the first 2 minutes. And you're like, and which is even stranger is that one time I had this weird run-in off a highway in Ohio near Cleveland, and there's a barrel fire. So I think it might be sort of like true to form.
Yeah.
That's the 40s. For
It's just like people playing like trombone, and there's just like a barrel fire.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that going to heat up the metal? Like, this isn't like a thing that
melt your breath.
I feel like there's that many barrel fires. There's a lot of pies on windowsills that are also being pilfered.
in my fingerless gloves.
Yeah.
they're not surviving the Bumpus's bloodhounds. Right?
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, this movie for me, like, it was like one of my grandpa's favorite movies, and we watched it all the time growing up, and he used to like quote it all the time, and so yeah, it's like super nostalgic for me, but I hadn't seen it in a long time, and yeah, I was definitely watching it with today's lens and being like, oh wow, like this is a really beloved nostalgic Christmas movie, but it's definitely like a white person's Christmas,
Right, for sure. It is so white, and
yeah.
white people love this movie.
It's-
I don't think any white people would argue with, like, today's, but
I don't like this movie.
you don't like it.
I don't. Yeah, not
But you already said you're Canadian, right? So that's a whole different thing.
No, but Cleveland, like Ontario and Cleveland, like
Are the
it's
same?
Like Cleveland's way worse than Canada.
Yeah.
It's like I read this thing one time that there's something like infinitely more movies made about Cleveland than there is about Toronto, and Toronto is like the 4th largest city in North America.
Yes.
but somehow America has that draw that like Cleveland has.
the
these
Midwest or
mistake
whatever.
on the lake.
But then most of them were filmed in Toronto. Probably.
And then it was filmed in Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like why
That's so messed up.
It wasn't all the scenes, but yeah, a handful of them. were in
I would
Toronto.
say that as much as Toronto does not get representation in cinema, it is the most film city in cinema.
Yeah.
I think Vancouver in Canada
Yep.
might
Right,
be
right, right.
Absolutely.
X-Files fans, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
it's also really strange coming from Toronto and watching movies like this because they're in a place and then they come out of it and they're somewhere entirely different. And you're like, what is going on? And it was like
That's
that
not how
with
it is,
Shape
yeah.
of Water. I remember it was
Yeah.
like that. And I was just like, this is the most like, I couldn't watch the movie. Because I was like trying to draw this map in my brain being like,
Yeah.
how did they
what?
go in this door? And then they came out 17 blocks away. Like, I don't understand. And it just...
You just described my experience of watching the Ocean's movies.
Well, they had apparently like the house that the family lived in is like a real house in Cleveland, like that now some crazy dude runs a museum out of. But
A Christmas Story Museum?
yes,
Okay.
and you can stay there overnight.
Gross.
But we can talk about that later. But yeah, so apparently like the outside and like where they're running to school and everything, that's all in Cleveland. But then like shots, like the interior shots are all in Canada. So sometimes
And the restaurant was in Canada.
yeah. So like that scene where the dad is like outside telling them to move the lamp, like one side of it's in Cleveland and the other side's in
Right.
Toronto. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so they did the state. Okay, well, weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've dissected and all that, let's like go way back, because one thing you guys were saying, it was like how episodic and
Yes.
anecdotal this thing is.
It's a movie of vignettes.
Yes, so it that's the word I was searching for, vignette, not anecdotal, but actually both. So yeah,
Well,
this guy.
my old boss hates the word vignettes, so
Oh.
we had to find lots of ways to write around
Goodness.
that. So anecdotal, well, that was one of them. So
Okay,
yes.
so Gene
Vinaigrette
Shepard.
is another word you can use.
Gene Shepard was a famed radio guy and a humorist, a job that pretty much no longer exists. It's just Twitter and it's free now, and everyone does it. But anyways, he's a humorist. And so his books were all like this, like a bunch of short stories. And so that's, they gathered up all the Christmas ones and, he did this. And so that is why it kind of has that feeling. And then there's all these arguments online about how much is real, how much did he make up, and what year is it, and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But,
Well, I think the movie is really interesting because, like, for me, I mean, yeah, I guess there's so many things in it that, like, you grew up doing, and I'm like, were they from this movie or did they exist before that? Like, Double Dog Dare and all that kind of stuff. And, like, I feel like the movie for me and probably for lots of people almost has like a Midwestern like folklore like feeling to it, where it's like this is Christmas for a lot of people, and it's like the gospel of Christmas for the Midwest for sure.
It is really interesting. I watched this movie after we were decorating the tree and had put on some other holiday movies, and Christmas Vacation I watched before this, kind of in the background, which is also Midwest, Chicago, and the Home Alone movies are also,
Chicago.
because John Hughes are very centered.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason in the 80s and 90s, a lot of comedy was centered in the Midwest, and a lot of the holiday movies, in large part because of John Hughes, are kind of centered in that area, in that type of mindset. And I think that a lot of people, their idea of the ideal, nostalgic Christmas is this Chicago, Ohio Christmas that hasn't ever really existed.
Exactly.
But it's a weird,
This like, snow-covered department store Christmas thing. Yeah.
We do have this in Canada. We do have, like in Toronto, it snows like crazy, and we have really big department stores that go wild with the windows, and people line up and they look at them. So it does exist in ways.
What's a good Canadian Christmas movie?
I don't know if there is.
Are there
one.
any?
Canadian? That's a great question. I was watching SVU today, and they went to Ontario.
All right.
Which was something.
Was the holiday episode like
Santa's Victims Unit.
It was like
Santa's victims? Oh no! What did he do to them? What did he do? That's messed
These
up.
are questions you don't want to know. The
You don't want to know. You had to watch the episode.
Actually, I'm really surprised that there isn't a mall Santa episode of SVU. Maybe I just haven't got far enough in.
I bet there
probably
is. I bet
is.
there
Yeah.
is.
There probably is. Oh my god!
I would love to hear Ice-T figure that one out.
What's the brother's name? Is Randy?
Randy.
Yeah.
Yep. It's Ralphie and Randy.
Absolutely my favorite character.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
With the
everything
snowsuit. Oh my
he
God.
does is funny, including my favorite part where he spills his milk into his bread at the table, and then the bread is just full of milk, and he's just going for it. Like as an actor, it's a choice. Like, this kid is just all the way out there.
Yeah. He's just bread milk. That's me.
Every time I see him on screen, I was like, this is the best part of the movie.
He's really good.
So funny.
If I could get a hypercut of just him,
Yeah.
I'd like the movie way more.
The pig
so
thing
funny.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just falling down in the snow. His snowsuit's crazy. And also that made me think of that. Remember when Ralphie gets in the fight and he beats the crap out of this kid?
Yeah.
And his mom comes and just leaves. She doesn't even look at the kid. Did you notice that? Like, doesn't help him up. Like, the kid is just bleeding aggressively. And he's got winter gloves on. So you know he's hitting him hard
Yeah.
to get through that padding. And she turns her back on this child. I always thought about that because Randy's suit's all covered in snow.
Right.
And he's just like,
I have to imagine
Well, that's the American way.
yeah.
that as
She
their
just,
mother
kicks him one time.
and the fact that the little brother came to get her, she's aware of the fact that there is this bully kid and
Right.
realizes that must be who it is.
Yes.
Especially because he's crying once she gets him. But I don't know.
I wouldn't care about that kid either.
You would, I feel like legally, as an adult,
yeah.
You'd
Be like,
you
oh.
might be walking into some trouble.
Not in the 40s though.
I mean, she's got some demons, though, right? The mom. Like,
Yeah.
what's
She does.
she doing all day?
she's wearing that pink
Tattered, like
robe.
just making what is that stuff she makes? Like meatloaf.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
meatloaf.
I always think this is a continuation of her character from
Close
Close
Encounters.
Encounters.
Yeah. Especially with the mashed potatoes. Even though he makes the mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Anyways, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
The one thing though that I hear many moms call out from this movie is the quote where he says, like, my mom has not sat down and had a hot meal without being interrupted in 15 years or whatever.
She
And that
gets
is
it.
like,
She gets it at the end, though. That's her moment.
right. Yeah. So that rings really true, I know, to many moms and parents, not just moms, but you know.
Yeah, I feel like it's crazy. I mean, yeah, it's not going to be relatable to everyone, but like I feel like for me, I just like there's so many things in there that it's like feels so relatable to watch every year. And
Did your mom dress you up like for 40 minutes and then you couldn't put your arms down? Or
not like
whatever?
that, but we had those crazy.
I could see
snowsuits.
Kathy doing that.
we did have crazy snowsuits that we had to wear to school because you could play outside during recess even when it's cold.
My sister just had a baby and bought her, or no, not her, bought the kid, a boy, snowsuit. I got to check in on all of these details. Somebody got a snowsuit.
Yeah.
My sister might have. But you love this movie? Is that where this is going? Like, I'm trying to get a read on.
I feel like yes,
but if you like fragment it and it's good in moments, or you think as a whole you want to watch this movie, or do you want to like get a beer and do stuff and have it on?
Yeah, I don't think I need to like sit and watch it. No,
Yeah.
I feel like I used to do that back in the day, but I haven't watched it in a long time. And like, yeah, so for me, like watching it again, I feel like there was like, yeah, like some cringy things, and I was thinking, you know, I spent a lot of the movie thinking like, oh, you know, yeah, maybe this is like, you know, super relatable for me because I'm white, and like a bunch of other people aren't gonna find this movie interesting at all. But I was just gonna say, like, I still enjoy the movie, but I thought going into it that I was gonna be like, this is my favorite Christmas movie. I love it, and I'm still like, you
Like
know,
the
it's
nostalgia would creep up on you.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good, but I'm not like gonna say it's the best movie.
Has
of all
anybody done the research? Do we know if this movie was actually a box office success?
No, not really.
So its actual kind of canonization in Christmas classic was television then.
time. Probably, yeah.
And that makes so much more sense to me because like I can't imagine it being popular sitting in the theater and watching this movie.
Well, nothing happens in this movie.
Right. It's not, it is basically vignettes that go, it's this kid, basically, I want this thing.
But that's when it came out, like 12 movies might have come out that entire year.
Yeah.
And it might have been the only Christmas movie, so it might have made like $100,000.
But apparently it wasn't a classic at that time, so it wasn't until probably cable.
Yeah.
It's interesting like how many movies that are kind of mediocre have become these classic, you know, bastions of our culture because they were just run a lot.
And then they get sequels.
On basic cable.
Blockbuster era.
Yep.
I think that had to have helped too.
Absolutely.
But, you know, even if you can't relate to the snow and the white people stuff or whatever, which I obviously can't, the most like realistic depiction of my Christmases growing up that I've ever seen on TV is the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend song, California Christmas Time. That is literally what Christmas has looked like my entire life. But anyways, there are so many things in the movie that are totally like universal to everyone. Like the first time one of your parents like doesn't tell the other one what you did, you know, and it's like a just between us thing, or, you know, like, I don't know, just getting that thing at Christmas, whatever, probably not a gun, especially not for me, but, you know, like just whatever it is, these things can, or, you know, thinking you've turned in a masterpiece to the teacher and then getting a low grade, you know, all those kind of things is just something that I think everyone has probably lived through.
And I do feel like I'm still in awe of the like, just like timeless feeling that the movie had. Like the movie came out as it is right now in 1983,
Right?
And it's like the way that they decided to do it with the like radio play narration and everything, and just like all the details of the 40s and stuff. I feel like it just hits this like instantly capsulized Americana nostalgia, and then that like I feel like, you know, it still works really well carried forward to today. Like,
yeah, I
that's
didn't
something
remember
to
that
look
it was
back
the
on.
40s, especially
Yeah.
pre-World War II. I did not realize that
Well, I was
at
like,
all.
that's why I think my grandpa really
I thought it
likes
was like the
Yeah.
50s or something like that. But then I thought about it and I was like, no. Obviously Wizard of Oz, Snow White, like it had to have been in 1939, 1940 or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, so.
I don't know. It's just like, you know, it's something that people watch throughout the generations, and each person is like, oh yeah, that reminds me of so and so, and then it's just like,
Well, and a
builds
lot
from
of
there.
older people probably grew up listening to this guy on the radio, on all
Yeah.
sorts of radio stations and syndicated
Totally.
NPR and everything.
Totally.
That would make more sense to me is why you would care about this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the other thing about this movie, and I think it's just me, and as I get older, I think I'm just getting like so stupid. And it's incredible. To my point, I watched Conspiracy Theory last night, and I was like,
That's the Mel Gibson
Mel
movie?
Gibson's
Yeah.
Conspiracy
Okay.
and weird protagonist, especially in 2021.
Yeah.
But he wasn't wrong. So
Yeah.
The conspiracy was real.
Yeah. No. The protagonist of this movie, not Mel Gibson.
Yes.
right. Mel Gibson,
Very wrong.
But I watched that movie last night, and you know when you just get into that mode and you can't find anything, and then all of a sudden it pops up, and
Yeah.
you're just like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess.
sure.
And I couldn't get the tone of that movie because Mel Gibson's character is just like crazy,
Yeah.
like crazy conspiracy theory, but also just like he's doing this bit thing.
Uh-huh.
And you're also like, you're a really famous actor in like the peak of your career, and you're making this movie, and Julia Robertson. I don't get it.
Right.
And I couldn't get the tone of this movie either, of A Christmas Story, because it's like kind of all over the place in the vignette style. Like the Santa Claus experience is another thing I don't remember that well. And I was like, this set is incredible. Like if
It's
this existed
insane.
Yeah.
in wherever I grew up, like I would go to this. I would go to this now.
Yeah.
But then they play it like a full on like ice trip.
Yeah.
It is nuts. And that's why like the 40s thing didn't even include me. I didn't even know if like the Wizard of Oz things were real.
Right.
It's like who's going, like it just feels like a hallucination.
Well,
And,
because
like,
they do lots of weird POV stuff.
yeah, and the camera, and like also, I spent like I paused the movie and was like, okay, they take the kid and they turn him around, and then they spin him like in full 360 and then back 180. And I was like, I don't understand this motion at all. And they do it with all the kids. It's not just that one camera move. They move the kids backwards, and it doesn't make any sense for where he gets positioned on the lap of Santa.
I love that whole sequence because it's just so insane, and the way they're like ditching the kids down the slide.
My God, did you ever see anything like that in a mall
No.
with a slide? Like they would get this suit
like
out of them.
maybe there
think-
were ones like that back
I
in the
think
day,
that
but-
this is something, and I'm going to get a little English lit here, and I apologize, but I think that it's maybe part of the secret sauce of this movie, where it is weapons grade nostalgia, but there are parts of it, like the Santa scene, where it is very cynical, and I think that part of maybe why this movie is so beloved is that nostalgia is cut with some dark cynicism. Like I made the joke before that Bob Clark made Black Christmas, which is one of the great, Christmas horror movies, and serial killer. The calls coming from inside the house is literally from Black Christmas. But I think that there is a weird thing where Americans in particular, if there is a healthy dose of cynicism to it, they feel like it's more true. And so therefore the nostalgia is justified. And it's kind of this thing that is a dangerous combo in my mind. But I do think that is a big part of why this movie in the 80s carrying on to today, where it feels like this perfect classic. Like that's how it really was, because of the cynicism that's kind of baked into some of these vignettes. That's kind of dark and a little bit subversive, but not in a good way.
Yeah. I do love, like, you don't, like, ever see the elves or, like, the Santa, like, smoking a cigarette or something, but you get that sense that, like, they're probably doing that as soon as they go back.
Like, I'm not staying 1 minute past 9 o'clock or whatever he says.
Yeah, you get to hear him say that, yeah.
Isn't that in Home Alone when he's got the beard down, he's smoking? And
I love that scene, though. Because that dude's basically still a good dude.
Well, I always had this theory because there's so many hot dog cart vendors. It's the only kind of vendor you can have in Toronto, and they reduce drastically during the winter months. Cart vendors just become mall Santa Clauses. And
that's just pure economics right there.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. But I think that the cynicism, or the most interesting thing for me, and I don't know if this was on purpose or not, is that he wants this gun so badly, and then it shoots. Like, does he ever shoot the gun ever again?
Right.
It feels like it's just over in that moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not as dark as some of the other moments, but it feels like he just wanted this thing and devoted his life to wanting this thing, and then this thing just betrayed him immediately. Never fall in love. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, he falls asleep hugging the gun.
Right, true,
but we don't know.
But
We
I feel
don't know
like
if he ever
holds
really
the gun
used it.
and never shoots it ever.
Yeah, I like that interpretation. Like, he likes the idea of the gun, more of it in practice. Like,
Don't they all?
So
yeah. Well, I wish.
Yeah.
the other thing that I couldn't get out of my mind is who the bully's name is.
Scut Farkas.
Farkas.
Yes.
And he enlists Dill. And Dill, first of all, how does he get this henchman in Dill? And second of all, did he not just look like a miniaturized singer of AC/DC?
Yes.
The whole time, I could just hear AC/DC.
Did he also give him that outfit? Like, you gotta dress like this to be my henchman.
Everybody needs a hype man, right?
Like, he's 4 inches shorter than Ralphie is. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway,
tough.
I don't know.
He like comes out of a garbage can in the first scene. Or something.
Oh yeah, he does. You're right.
I would watch like a 5-part Dill miniseries. I want to know all about where that guy goes. Like, what happens to Dill?
Well, I mean, and when he goes to found AC/DC.
Really,
That's what he
looks
did.
identical.
That's what he
to that
did.
guy. Unbelievable.
What else can we talk about? What do you guys make of the leg lamp? Okay, this is like the main. I think this is like The leg lamp and the bunny costume are probably like the main things that have. I drove past a house
With a leg lamp?
that had a blow up, light up Ralphie in a in the bunny costume in their yard.
You think the actor gets points on the sale of those?
I
Probably not because it's so
sold
old,
it
right?
right.
Yeah.
depends on where they're coming from. I guess.
The lamp. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, that's another thing though that everybody has experienced is getting a really crappy, hideous gift from someone in the family, and your mom and dad's like, "You need to put that on right now," or like use it, right now, play with that toy or whatever it is,
But this guy was excited about the leg lamp. It wasn't like a thing that he.
No, I'm talking about the bunny suit.
Oh, the bunny suit.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I see
But no, the leg lamp. Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
No, the leg. It's the cynicism thing again, though. It's like the leg lamp is all this guy has.
Yes.
Like it is maybe as he continues to toil with his furnace or whatever, he can't get anywhere in his life.
Yeah.
And he's somehow. And the other thing that doesn't make any sense, speaking of English lit, is like how he solves that puzzle. Like this guy does not have the bandwidth to complete this puzzle. Like he cheated, but he doesn't even seem like smart enough to do that.
Right.
And then he wins this leg lamp. But the thing that struck me was not only like how much ass was on that leg lamp.
So much ass.
But
a
like-
surprising amount of ass.
But Ralphie, as an actor, played
Yes.
it like real sexy.
Yeah.
Like
he's grabbing for
he's
it.
like
It's
grabbing
so
it,
funny.
Like he's like creepily like going up it.
Yeah.
I love. Yeah, his dad is like, it's a piece of art, like a statue, and then Ralphie's like, yeah, like a statue.
That's really great.
It's like, get out.
I think it helped that Peter Billingsley was 12 playing 9, so he like was,
Ugh, but still, it was just, yeah.
You
Ugh.
get thrown out of a strip club immediately for any sort of action. It's
Right,
just
right.
weird. Anyway, it really
I don't have
freaked me out.
I don't have the exact quote, but then there's that like voiceover narration about it being like glowing sex in the window. Or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's really.
well, it was very scandalous considering it was 1940.
and the lampshade looks like you're going up the dress or whatever.
yeah, like a
I
flapper.
do think that is. It's one of those things where I knew the cultural zeitgeist of the leg lamp, and the leg lamp, and
everywhere.
it's a thing, it's an ornament, and I feel like that it's one of those things where people have forgotten what the joke actually
Yes.
is about that. Where it's like
very sad.
Yeah, like this man is pathetic, and
That's interesting you say that though, because he's stupid.
Yeah.
He's and that's the other thing about this movie where the tone gets lost for me, because like, is he supposed to be funny? Because I just kind of feel bad for him.
Right.
And he has this really dope, like the way he acts and like portrays his character. I think it's supposed to be like comedic.
Yeah.
And you just feel bad for him.
Yep.
But I feel like towards the end of that movie, their relationship seems to make sense strangely. Like
Right.
when they're at the dinner, especially. And also, like, he wins Christmas by giving this gun. Like,
Yeah.
if my dad ever paid enough attention to me to get me a gift like this, like,
Right.
I would lose my mind. Like,
me too.
Like, dads, on average, I don't think do this kind of thing.
No.
And it was just and that's what got me, I think, more than giving a shit that Ralphie got this gun, which I knew immediately was going to blow his face off. It's just that the dad got it for him.
Yeah.
That's what surprised me, and that's the thing that kind of like choked me up a little bit, where I was like, oh, this is like, his dad has been paying attention this whole time, even though he's just like...
he's this cartoon character.
grumpy.
We don't
but
even
yeah.
really see him say it much to the dad, other than that one
I
time.
don't know if he ever says it to the dad.
He does at the breakfast table at the very beginning of the movie, but other than
right,
that,
right,
like
right,
he's
when
not.
he
He's going on and on about it elsewhere. Not, and the dad acts like he's not paying attention.
And I do think that is by design. I do think
Yeah.
that is the thing that the movie is actually trying to build to.
Right.
And weirdly, the vignette thing, that is kind of how you remember your childhood. And so I think that there is some wisdom to the structure of it. I just think that it's a very...
Well, yeah. I don't know. In hindsight now, it feels like not genius, but it's like, oh, there's all these parts that people can remember and not have to be like thinking of a through line of the movie, really.
Yeah.
The through line is the BB gun thing, but it's like you can have all these like things and then, you know, everyone's got their favorite parts, you know?
Well, and the narration is Ralphie.
Yeah.
So he's talking about the sexiness of the leg lamp, but the dad is not really. He's won this award at work and he wants to display it, like, regardless of what the heck it is. And, like, you know, and this is not in the movie, but I was reading about Gene Shepherd's real dad and, like, a lot of other stories, I guess, that actually talk about his job. But he was, like, a cashier at a dairy. And so maybe this was, like, employee of the month or whatever it was. and it was some cheap send away thing that the company had gotten, but like it's a thing, I mean, I have like my crystal award from the Woman of the Year, Team Member of the Year thing, like, which, it's just a piece of glass, right?
No,
but
that's
it's important.
so much different. Fuck off.
I like that you just threw that in.
Yeah.
No. Some awards on my shelf.
No, she was trying to make that very self-deprecating, and I'm not gonna.
I mean it. Like, it's a big piece of glass. Like, what? Is it really important? Maybe not. But I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But I feel like that's also part of the thing where it's like a lot of feigned support. It's not really a real thing. And like the mom kind of runs the household and there's this whole thing.
Right.
And she's just kind of like patting the dad on the head. So this to him is like,
Yeah. I do have to say, though, that my dad is known for like going outside of what him and my mom have planned, buying some surprise gift, bringing it out on Christmas morning. You can tell that she's like kind of pissed. Like, we didn't talk about this. What the hell? But like, so that my dad is known for doing that.
just to
But
clarify,
That's so funny.
you have sweet awards and your dad's super awesome.
I'm not trying to be
Good for you.
Cool.
Hey, but I had no snow, so did I even have a real
I don't know
Christmas?
how to put this giant plaque up in my house. It's so big.
It's so big.
just
I don't have a
weird.
load-bearing wall.
No
really big,
snow
yeah.
ever, okay?
You don't need snow. I can tell you that right now.
I think that it's true the dad doesn't think it's sexual, but the mom definitely
Right.
knows that it is.
Yeah.
She just thinks it's ugly.
I think she thinks it's tacky,
Okay.
Yeah.
tacky, ugly.
But I mean, then we see, like you said, Ralphie's just like,
Caressing it.
He's
so
up
funny.
on it.
yeah,
Like,
he's up on it. Like, no mom is like, that's normal.
yeah, it was so weird. And the other thing about that lamp, which I'm just nitpicking now, but it breaks like glass, and that's clearly plastic.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I was like, this is so strange, like this
Yeah.
point, like I don't understand. And so do you feel, I don't know if this is like, I don't know this movie or the lore of this movie. Does she break it on purpose?
Oh, she breaks
go
it
in
on
there,
purpose.
I think she breaks it on
Yeah,
purpose,
I
but
would think
also I
so.
think maybe plastic was a lot more,
Fiberglassy.
Yeah,
breakable
yeah.
back then. Yeah,
And then it's just it's so sad to watch him like try to tape it all together.
yeah, that is very
And then
sad.
it's like it's there, and then it just crumbles.
He's like, yeah,
Brittle is the word I was
putting
searching
his
for.
intestines back. And he's like, it's gotta keep
Yeah.
it together.
so funny. And then there's like that whole line about him burying it in the background yard later that night.
playing
and I
taps.
swear I could hear taps. Yeah. So great. I also I think the dad character is really funny. I love all the stuff about him swearing all the time and like that line that the narrator has about like the cloud of his like profanities are still floating over Lake Michigan, and I think that's a really funny line. And
I was trying to think, do either any of your dads have like or ever had some terrible piece of memorabilia that they were awarded or given or was important to them that they just had in their life? Because
think
my
so.
dad did some work with whatever, and he got this like baseball that I think he thought was like, well, I hope he doesn't listen to this. But I think he thought was like more valuable than it is. Like,
Yeah.
he would work with these guys from Cuba, and there was whatever, they came over and he was working with this baseball company, and I think the ball was just like one of the guys just like got the ball at the airport or whatever, but to him it's like was
Like the most important thing in the world.
yeah, like they like won the World Series with it or whatever, and like I think it's like there's like a sticker on the bottom that's like like LAX or whatever. Like it's just like doesn't, but he just like it. I think that attachment is like just it's more about the accomplishment, like the fact that he could even manage to finish a crossword. I think
Yeah.
is mind-boggling.
Yeah, my dad didn't have anything. Like, he always told a story about how all of his awards were burned in a barn, which I don't know if I believe. What? Which is
That
like
sounds
kind of
fake.
almost better than a baseball, right?
That's so
Like,
suspicious.
yeah,
no, I'm just like picturing your dad do that. That's so funny.
yeah, yeah. Dads.
Oh man.
My dad's actually coming here to visit LA for the first time, and in the Christmas
man.
spirit, I wouldn't be surprised if he finds this movie on HBO Max.
TBS.
Oh, yeah. And you'll be watching it.
Oh yeah. Totally.
It is. I don't know if I could do it again.
No. Well, you can go. You can build some IKEA furniture while it's on.
How about the like the flat or the what's it called? Like when he has this flashback, or not flashback, but when he thinks he's
Fantasizing or
about
whatever.
being blind from soap poisoning.
Oh,
Like,
God.
Right.
putting that on his family.
I mean,
Just
I
like
think the soap is actually bad for you, and that's why parents stopped doing that. Other than that it's stupid.
I do think that this is actually something that is very, like, boys of that age imagining romanticizing some terrible thing happening to them,
Right.
and having, everyone's gonna feel sorry for me if this happens. And I do think that that's a really real kind of fantasy for kids that age.
Did you ever have soap in your mouth?
No, not the soap thing, but just like they'll be so sorry once they see what's happened to me.
I think, and I think all his like fantasy scenes are pretty funny.
Which is a
funny.
completely toxic idea. Like, I'm not trying to get around that,
Right.
but I do think that's a really... I mean, I certainly had those fantasies of just like, well, what if I did have cancer? Everyone would feel so bad.
But like, I like he walks in and his mom is like, "Oh my god, he has a cane! Like, what's happening?" So,
But also, like, the fantasy when he's, like, shooting the burglars.
Yeah.
He's really glammed up. I was
He's
really
real
out of
glammed up.
control.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
a rhinestone cowboy.
Like, when he grows up, who is he becoming? That's what I want to know. Like,
I
if
don't know.
that's his...
I think it's a Roy Rogers thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
We already went past the Asian thing, but there was a deleted scene where he helps what's his face again, Flash Gordon, defeat Ming the Merciless, and they cut that whole scene out.
Interesting.
Good.
Right. But then again, that wouldn't have really been their fault. That's
No.
Flash Gordon's issue.
What else? Other stuff that I, just like classic scenes, the tongue on the
Nice,
the pole.
Right.
Do you
Did
think
people
they
do
did
that?
it? But do you think that, like, when he was pulling it, it was stuck to something?
They had it was a hollowed out tube that they had air being sucked through, like with a vacuum, and then there was a tiny hole, and so they put his tongue in, and it would be like sucked through. Yeah.
That's movie magic right there.
That's,
By the
that's how they
way,
did it.
the fire people just rip him off. Shouldn't you just like put like a little bit of warm water and then it would come right off?
But then, like, the bandage on
Right,
the tongue,
right.
like, all the way up the tongue.
I love that whole sequence, like the way everything plays out. Like he gets stuck, and then the bell rings, and Ralph is
They're
just
like,
the bell,
the bell,
rang.
yeah.
And then like as they're like, "Where's this kid? Like, where is he?" And then the one girl is just like points to the window.
Yeah.
And then they
Such a
all
rat.
are watching it, and then I just love Ralphie and his other friend that knew, or Flick or whatever, who knew that it was happening, are still in their seats, and there's a kid at the window that just is like, "Oh my god, the fire department!" And they're like, "Oh Jesus!"
I like that they all
the
applauded
police
after
now.
they ripped him off. Yeah.
That is
So
good.
I just think it's like just that's a wonderful wonderful scene.
When I was hallucinating, this is going to sound so strange to you. When I was like peak fever while watching this movie.
Uh-huh.
And you text me being like, "Are you coming?" I was like, "Totally." But I was like, "Not." But in my brain, there was like that scene when he's like blind or whatever. And then I was like, if David Fincher directed this movie, what would happen? And it was that he shoots his eyes out. Randy has to take care of him, and somehow he marries the school teacher. And they're like, they all live together, and they have to take care of him.
Wow.
And this was just this
Yikes.
movie that I put together in my mind, which also I think is a better movie.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh snap!
Where does the Wicked Witch factor in?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, she was in that movie. You saw her too.
Yeah.
She was in it multiple times.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is there anything else you guys want to hit on in the movie before we kind of wrap up here?
Oh man.
I have a lengthy
Oh, that's
Star
right.
check-in for you.
Yeah, let's do it. We got to
right.
get to it.
Let me bring
There's
my
so
notes
many.
up
We haven't
here.
had a child star checking in a while.
This is
That's
a substantial child. Okay, I'm going to start at the. I'm going to start with uncredited flagpole bully student.
Oh my god.
I don't know if you
Uncredited?
explained that child star check-in, but I don't. Yeah,
Oh, no
yeah.
need to explain. It is our only segment.
we're checking in with the child stars.
I understand.
Okay, got it. Uncredited flagpole bully student, Quinn Smith. This was actually the end of his career because he was one of the Bad News Bears, and the sequel, and an E.T.
And then
And then nothing. He didn't act anymore, but now he is
he okay?
I thought you were going to say he died.
And
Shot his
he-
eyes out.
this
So
was just the last
spoiler
time he
alert.
acted.
Child Star check-in usually gets dark.
Right. We'll get there. We'll get
Check
there.
in on Randy.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you save that for last?
Yeah.
Because I'm really into that.
Okay, sure. All right. So I don't know what he was really doing, but now he is a booker of celebrities for conventions and such.
Okay.
But in 2020, he got married at the Neon Chapel to some girl, and it was officiated by a Gene Simmons impersonator.
In Las Vegas?
Yes.
Cool for them.
You probably could have spent like $100 more and got Gene Simmons.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so Goggles Kid from the Santa line, a critical moment there.
Yeah.
David Svoboda, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that
He's
wrong.
a good screamer.
He's credited as David Edward, but his name's David Svoboda. He actually became a real EMT, but then stayed in show business playing an EMT on many, many shows, including Days of Our Lives for like 5-6 years. And then he was like a talking head in that show 1000 Ways to Die for like the entire run. So that's how he made money,
Nice.
besides being an EMT. Okay. I'm changing the page here.
Who's next?
Who is next? Okay. Yano Anaya, who was, what would we call Gil? Is that what his name was?
Dill?
Dill?
Oh, the guy from AC/DC?
Yes. Yeah. The short little hype man. Okay. So
I prefer henchman myself.
henchman. Got it.
Yeah.
So he was in the Van Halen video for Hot for Teachers.
So close.
Right.
So close.
That's hilarious.
He was also in Better Off Dead. And now he is a program director at the Atlanta School of Massage, and he is a personal trainer and body transformation expert.
Whoa.
So all these kids are like 45 now? Is that kind of the
Yeah, they must be.
about like it's 83 plus what? They're like 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
Zach Ward, Scott Farkas himself. He was in Almost Famous, Freddy vs. Jason. I don't know if this is true because it comes from IMDb trivia, but they say he holds the record for playing a role in the most video game adaptations, that he is tied with Robin Shou from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, wow.
I think they mean like characters, because obviously like Resident Evil would throw this all out the window, but anyway. And he also played Jack's best friend on Lost, which checks out.
Oh, right.
He was
He was like, you should get all those RPG tattoos, Jack.
yeah, exactly. He was the best man at Jack's wedding. And he's involved in a lot of video game stuff, and, you know, doing a lot of podcasts and YouTube shows and stuff like that. Okay. R.D. Robb played Schwartz in this movie, so that was one of the friends. He was in the Brady Bunch movie. He was in Matilda.
Okay.
Then he kind of took a break for a long while, but he has a recurring guest role on The Goldbergs, and he is the executive producer of Siren, the mermaid show on Freeform.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Visual effects, maybe not super fast, but by former guest Kyle Edwards.
Oh, okay.
Works on that
That's
Siren
right.
show.
That's right.
Got
He
it.
did. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and then we're skipping Randy.
No,
'cause
no.
that's what you wanted.
Don't,
Okay.
I don't want to throw you off.
No. It won't,
There's an order to this.
it won't throw me off.
He's just the one I'm most excited to know about.
Which means
Actually,
that we're...
let me just do it. Ian Petrella, Randy. He didn't act much more, but then he got super into puppets, and he was a puppeteer
I love this.
for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
What?
Power Rangers, and the Henson Company's Brats of Lost Nebula, which is so obscure I have never even heard of it. It was canceled by the WB after 3 episodes.
Okay.
And he went and like trained in puppets and marionettes in like Prague for
Cool.
many years. And now he's back, and he still does like animation, stop motion, puppet stuff.
So he's like an SFX guy that probably has done a bunch of really cool, fun stuff.
It's real specific to puppets.
Were you not listening to that awesome
So his
list?
credits list is not like, it's not like he's totally in the industry now. It's more like he's doing like art stuff with puppets and occasionally like makes an animated short.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was expecting, but that was not a letdown. That
Right.
Okay, so Randy too. Did you have the Blu-ray? Did you watch any of the?
No, I don't have the
okay.
Blu-ray.
I watched the special features, and he was. I was talking about. There's a whole special feature on the Blu-ray about the house in Cleveland. That's a museum.
Right.
Some random dude.
That you can sleep in.
Yeah, there's some random dude converted it into a museum.
Oh, right. I know what you're talking about.
But
though.
Randy is like the guy who went in on it with this random dude.
Oh.
And they talk on there about like how the plan was like, oh, well, like Randy, you can like, live in the house and like do tours every day. And I guess he did that for a while.
Yeah. Well, what I saw was he did it for 2 weeks as a guest stint.
They made it seem like he was going to do that.
He might have.
Do you think that Randy made more money doing that and owning that house than he did from this movie?
Yes.
Probably.
100%.
They have this house is crazy. So like, it was only the exterior, right? So like the interior, they asked for like look-alike props and stuff, and they built it out to look like the house on the inside. But they also, so you can stay there now overnight for like $395 or something. But they also bought the house next to it, and they call it the Bumpus House.
Oh,
so you can stay at the Bumpus House next door.
They have dogs?
Well,
No dogs allowed.
That was my other question is, it seems weird that the family doesn't have a dog. I know the dogs, they hate the next door neighbor dogs, but it was a weird part of this movie to me. That there wasn't this dog that they cut to that was like smarter than the whole family and like would groan and be like, something stupid. It felt like that was missing from this movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, back to it. Sorry.
Back to it. Scott Schwartz, who is Flick, is that his name? It's the same as Bug's Life, right? I keep thinking it can't be that. That's the same as. Okay, and this is probably the one that you saw online, Justin.
Yes,
but
I sadly yes.
Yes, it's not sad. I mean, I don't want to shame him for an honest day's work of sex work, but
A whole day?
Well, yeah, several days. He did act in many guest roles for many years. Around 1990, he got into the adult film industry.
Sure.
And like I said, I'm not shaming him, but porn titles are always funny, so let's hear them.
Yes, there's some good ones.
We've got New Wave Hookers 5.
Okay.
Dirty Bob's Excellent Adventure 35 and 36, so sequels. Cafe Flesh 2.
Cafe Flesh.
And finally, The Devil in Miss Jones 6.
Wait, what about The Wrong Snatch?
I didn't. I only wrote down the ones I thought were the funniest. So our opinion differs.
Have you thought about doing, what was it, the 36?
Oh, Dirty Bob's Excellent Adventure 35 and 36.
I'm saying like as a spin-off.
Well, we've done Bill and Ted, so we might be able to roll that in.
Might be able to.
You have 36 pre-made episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be even worse than Land Before Time.
That would be.
I can't believe Dirty Bob is doing it.
Although the
this time.
songs might be better.
They might, yeah. But anyways, it seems like he started out in non-sex roles, like just being in the adult video industry, and then eventually got convinced to be in
So he's
sexual
certainly
roles.
finished in the adult film industry.
Well, okay, so he finished in 2000.
I think
I see what you're saying.
Didn't he finish in The Wrong Vagina?
The Wrong Snatch.
The Wrong
Okay,
Snatch.
but in 2000, he decided to step away
Wrong one.
from the adult film industry and wanted to get back
Run
into
for Congress.
mainstream acting. But this guy, he does a really good thing. He is the president of a nonprofit organization called A Minor Consideration, which helps child actors learn like life skills so that they can do other things when their careers like dry out.
That's good.
Which is very nice. And they also advocate for like child actor rights through like SAG and everything.
But the guy that did porn is teaching kids what to do on the side when they're not in movies.
Well, I think he wants.
Well, like what parents like? Yeah, that guy knows.
I mean, it was a prestigious organization before he joined,
Okay.
so I think
he's like helping out. It's not his company.
He's the president now, but I think it was like, I did this, and there was nothing I could do. So learn from.
not
Steve,
like by
maybe.
the time you're 18,
Yeah.
wrong snatch 16.
Yeah,
will be
but
out.
also,
We can get you some
whatever.
more.
Everything was consensual. Everyone got paid. I'm sure it was fine.
It also
Oh,
seems
yeah.
like he's in the special features for like the 20th anniversary, so
Right.
they don't even seem to care. Like,
yeah,
Yeah, I was wondering.
it's not like he's the black sheep. Of
and he's
the
doing
Christmas story.
guest roles in TV here
Yeah.
and there.
I was
Okay.
wondering if that'd be harmful to getting back into working if they would not consider your acting chops the same way, but I guess not.
Right, but I mean, he had done so many things before, like tons of TV shows in the 80s and 90s. So
And he wasn't a snitch. That's what I remember from this movie.
right, that's right. He was not.
You can keep a secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, Peter Billingsley, Ralphie himself, acted in a few more things, but not too many. And then weirdly now is best known for executive producing Iron Man 1. And they gave him a cameo because he was the producer. And because of that, spoilers for Spider-Man Far From Home, but he gets to come back in Spider-Man Far From Home as one of the, disgraced employees or whatever.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Did he produce the other Iron Man?
No. And so I don't know why you would produce Iron Man and then not insist on getting a piece of the pie for the rest of your life.
I feel like it's just like a Favreau, like 'cause he's an elf too. Like I feel like they just
he is an elf. He has a cameo in elf.
Get in on this movie real quick.
Right. And then he has
That's crazy.
he has a bunch of, things that he's doing now. He produces all sorts of like really successful long-running television shows, including F is for Family on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird because he doesn't seem like his career would be hindered by being in this movie because he was so young.
Yeah.
It's
Unless
definitely
he's-
not.
and
it's
it's so
helped.
beloved. Like I'm
he's
sure
constantly
people are
He's
like,
not
like
like
talking
acting
about it.
though.
No.
No, I mean maybe he just didn't want to.
Does he look like an adult version of that kid?
he looks
Kind
almost
of.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
maybe
Especially if he has glasses on. Yeah.
that could-
Glasses, yes,
That could
yeah.
hurt a little bit, I guess.
So, but in Iron Man, he's like bald and dorky looking. They make him look like this messed up scientist or whatever. So, yeah. And that is pretty much it for the Child Star Chokin.
Sweet.
So, yeah, I know that was a lot. Sorry.
No, it's good. We've
There's
been
a lot
making
of
up
children.
for lost time.
That's right.
Because we've been watching all these newer movies.
Right.
Lost time.
And lost reference.
You guys already had a Jack Shepherd.
I know.
We did. I do want to say, too, I mean, since we're coming to the end, next week we are going to watch A Christmas Story 2. However, there are other options for following the story of this family that we could have done, except most of them are like impossible to watch. But I just want to say that after Gene Shepard saw how much dang money he was making on the re-showings of this movie, he was like, I gotta make more movies. And he made 2 television films on PBS's American Masterpieces or American Showcase or whatever it was called.
American Playhouse.
American Playhouse. There we go. He made 2 other films for them that are about basically the same family based on his works. They have really weird titles that I forgot to write down.
I have them here if you want.
Okay, read them.
The Star-Crossed Romance of Josephine Koznowski and Ollie Hop Noodle's Haven of Bliss. Those are the 2.
Okay, so Ollie Hop Noodles is like a goofy movie situation where they all go on vacation to
Is it
some
same
horrible...
family?
It's the same family.
Actors the same?
No.
What?
It's the guy who wrote the book, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's the
Gene
narrator.
Shepard.
The narrator, yeah.
I see.
And then so those 2 were for TV. Then he made another feature film called It Runs in the Family, which later was rebranded as My Summer Story because they were trying to get people to realize that it was a sequel to A Christmas Story. And it starred Charles Grodin, who perfectly probably could have is this dad, essentially, in many other movies, like Beethoven. Mary Steenburgen is the mother, and Kieran Culkin is Ralphie.
Does the second one of this movie, A Christmas Story 2, does it have any returning actors?
No.
Oh, it's just it's the same family.
It's just a
I don't know.
explicit
We
cash
don't know.
grab,
We'll watch it
I
next
imagine.
week.
You've never
yeah.
seen it.
No.
So apparently,
Can you let me know? I guess I'll listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Does he shoot the gun?
Yeah.
In My Summer Story, which was in 1994,
It's actually American Sniper is the second
there are
movie.
no. Please no.
Well, I feel like
There are no returning actors except for one of these side kids did return.
Yeah, you'd think like Flick or something.
Yeah.
would
Yeah, one of them
it's,
returned.
and
but
it's
nobody
also
else.
directed by Bob Clark.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
But it is pretty much impossible. It's not streaming anywhere. It's not even on YouTube for free. But
Kieran
one of them is
Culkin
on
as
YouTube.
Ralphie?
I just said that.
I know, I'm sorry. I
Right.
was like not paying attention.
All right, well, listeners, if you have a way that you've seen this movie or to watch this movie, let us
Yeah,
know.
let us know what it is because we're not going to follow that thread this time. We're going to instead follow the
Christmas thread
A
only.
Christmas Story canon. As officially laid out with the same titles, but it's interesting, and those are all based on his works too, and apparently follow Ralphie.
Sweet.
Is it review time?
It's rating system.
I mean,
Okay.
there's probably really only one option.
Is there?
Okay, fine. Go.
No,
go.
you tell me.
No. Do the less traveled road.
I honestly have no idea.
Oh.
I'm freewheeling right now. I was going to say, how many child rejection slides would you give A Christmas Story?
I thought you were going to go with the leg lamps.
Yeah, leg lamps. Well, sure, that's obvious.
Yeah, that's why I said take the less traveled slide.
How many
Wrong snatches.
wrong snatches. Yeah, fuck yes.
How many
How many? I was thinking
Shot out eyeballs.
yeah. Or Chinese turkeys.
Oh, Jesus. Which one are we going with?
Child rejection slides.
Okay.
How many child rejection slides would you give?
How many kids would you throw
Christmas
down the...
Story.
Well, I got to clarify, because it's a rejection slide, is it still better for the movie to get more of them?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
We can't
That's
start
just
thinking
the-
about things into that much detail or the entire rating system will fall apart.
Anytime I think
too
about
much.
that Santa scene, I go straight into my
Yeah. It's like, am I high?
Am I high right now?
Yeah.
And it's out of 10.
Yeah.
It's out of 10.
It's out of
Yeah.
10. Oh,
Yes.
really? Wow, that's
just
a
in
lot.
case you're wondering.
I'm gonna go, guys. I'm gonna go 4. I'm gonna go
Damn.
4 child rejection slides.
Wow.
I
Who
felt
are
like
you?
there would have been a greater experience of watching this movie all the way through. I always kind of dismissed it as a thing that I was culturally adjacent to my experience, where I was like, yeah, like I know what this movie is about. And I was like, oh, I'm excited. This is very beloved. I'm going to sit down and watch this. And I kind of didn't get anything new from it. And I was like, okay, I know what that was. I think that it is one of those things where if it was part of a family tradition and kind of infused in there, I probably would have enjoyed it much more. But watching it independently, and for the first time all the way through, I was like, this is a disjointed mess that I think looks bad.
Wow.
Yeah, the palette is really...
It's really off-putting to me. I think that like I get what Bob Clark's doing. He's trying to make every scene look like a Norman Rockwell painting, but it makes it all look washed out and lit by like a headlamp.
Well, I can't wait to see your beloved timeless film. That's right. 40 years from now that everyone's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, well, people already hate Pacific Rim, so
It'll never happen.
Okay.
Wait, was that one of the porn movies that guy did?
no, that was Specific Rim.
The wrong rim.
The wrong rim.
Man. I am going to be a lot less harsh because, like you said, I'm used to watching it. It kind of reminds me of hanging out with my dad and the hokey, lame jokes from this movie that he absolutely loves. And I think, like I said, there are a lot of like very universal things to being a kid and like what Christmas means to kids and believing in Santa and all these kinds of things. I think it has a lot of things that kids and adults like, even in like completely different times. Like, I don't want to say it's literally timeless, but it is without a time, if that makes sense. And so I will give it 7 rejection slides.
I do think it's important to point out that as we're talking about this movie is striding 80 years. It is an 80s movie that's talking about the 40s that we're talking about in 2020.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do want to say I kind of like give it credit in my mind too, just for how much of a hold it has on pop culture. And you know, even if you don't like it, and it's not your favorite, it's kind of something you maybe should show your kids just so they're like educated in references. Like I know that's not important to a lot of people, but it was definitely important to my dad. He'd be like, you have to watch this because everyone's gonna reference it, you know. So I don't know,
But that was just selfish because he just wanted singularly to make those jokes to you and you understand.
it may be, but I see them everywhere.
Someone's
so.
going to be like, be sure to drink your Ovaltine. And you're going to be like, huh? What do you mean? What's that? Yeah.
We didn't talk about the Dakota ring, and that's probably my favorite scene in the movie.
Because you lived it in many different ways. As did I. Yeah.
I'll go. I still enjoyed this movie. I'm going to give it 8, rejection slides with children screaming down them. I just, it's still not a movie that I'm going to like throw on all the time. Because I just in general don't like to watch the same movies over and over again, but I too feel a lot of nostalgia for it with my family members and my grandpa and everything, and we used to watch it a lot growing up, and it still holds that place in my heart. And I guess I can't even with the horrible racist things that are in it that I just kind of like had forgotten about, or maybe not even forgotten, but just didn't cross my mind when I was watching it back in the day. That definitely takes me out of it. But I still think it's a solid Christmas movie, and the fact that it was not a hit and became this huge thing, like something is there, like whether you like it or not, there's something there that captured the, imagination and hearts of like generations of people. It's crazy. So I still think it's good.
I feel bad going last now because I'm more in the 3/4.
No, please.
No.
Usually we're all in agreement ish. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that looking back on this movie for the first time, which is a weird thing to think about, but having not really known it, and again, like maybe only seeing 2 scenes, but feeling like I'd filled it out.
Right.
And like actively having to build up my TikTok and thinking like a movie in small parts should make more sense to me right now than a long form movie still didn't make sense to me. And then I also felt like there was moments that missed opportunities. And again, like this, like I don't know how to make a movie, but I feel like the teacher character, there is a lot left on the table there. The neighbor's dogs, like nothing ever happened with the dogs. The kid was like, Ralphie, like the fight is like still, he was still kind of like a good kid. Like he was just never did anything wrong. And there was never a moment where he like didn't deserve the gun or you felt like this wasn't going to work out. Like it was just like so nice the whole time. And I think that was my problem, was there was nothing to really like hold on to. And then all of a sudden, like the dad's like just doing this, like look behind the desk, there's like a thing. And I was like, oh, that's annoying. Like it's just,
well, at the same time, it's trying to be that saccharine while it's also trying to have this cynical edge to it, and it kind of feels like.
I thought the most interesting thing, and I think what's so unique about it, and maybe why tomorrow I will like it, is there's no magic. There's not a single reference to Christmas magic. Santa doesn't exist in it. Like Santa exists in the mall, but it's very clear even to those kids, like hate Santa.
Right.
They've never like, you're never hearing sleigh bells. There's not like a shooting star.
And the dad doesn't have some magical realization. It's just like him being like, yeah, I think you should fucking have it. I'm gonna give him the gun.
But the dad's
he's
just
a
like
good
working
dad,
some job and he's tired and maybe unfairly grumpy with his family. And that he just remembered that his kid wanted this thing. Right. And maybe recognized how valuable a possession like a leg lamp can be to somebody. And that this kind of
right.
I do love the idea of just undoing everything the mom thought about though. Like you're gonna shoot your eye out and the dad's like, yeah, it's cool. Like here's this guy.
Yeah.
And then he shoots his eye out. Like that's like 80% of divorces exist like in this.
I do think that you just hit on why this movie has so much staying power, though, is like there's not a moment that it takes this weird 180 or changes tone, although there's not a specific tone of what this movie is, where somebody's like, you know what, I've changed. Like I've had this moment. Like that doesn't happen. It is just a Christmas that moves forward from Ralphie's experience, and this time it shakes out okay for him. And that there isn't that magic, there isn't that thing, even Home Alone or even Santa Claus has some sort of moment,
character development,
where a character has this change. And I think that maybe that's part of the cynicism that kind of cuts the nostalgia. But I think that's why this movie is as embedded in the culture as it is.
But I think that's why you don't get those moments at the same time, like that, like Farkas or whatever his name is. Like they're not like cool. They don't like see each other later, and it's like you bested me. Like there's no like.
It's terrible screenwriting, right? And from a formulaic standpoint of like your characters have to make this change, your characters have to do this, but maybe there is something kind of wonderful about a Christmas movie that's kind of sweet and kind of mean, and the characters don't change all that much, but they have a holiday.
It really... sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, if you're going into the mindset of, like, it being, like, a radio play type thing, like, maybe, it's more like sketches with the same actors, but the actors are all the same people, the same characters, and so you don't necessarily have to see growth. You're just seeing them in different situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say too, it really like manages to walk the line so that people can kind of see whatever they want to see in it. Because, like, for example, one reason that my mom doesn't like this movie is because of the gun, and I feel like maybe we didn't talk about that enough, and that this really like glamorizes him having the gun or whatever. But from a certain viewpoint, it also shows how stupid it is to give this kid a gun. He didn't need it. It hurts him. It was a bad idea, and
Which is progressive from a 40s to 80s standpoint.
it is, but if you're like a gunhead, I'm sure you can watch this and be like, yeah, Red Ryder BB gun. And to this day, that company has to make that exact Red Ryder BB gun because of this movie.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, people can watch this movie, and be like, oh, well, look how bad the gun was for him.
Yeah.
So,
And I like your thing that you said earlier too. You made some mention of the movie being like weaponized nostalgia or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think the tone of the movie is nostalgia. Like even when it came out, it was nostalgia. And then like as you move further in the future and things change more and more, the nostalgia just gets more and more intense.
Yeah, and I think that the cynicism that kind of is the undercurrent or the baseline to it is the thing that makes it feel true.
Yeah.
And maybe more than it is just nostalgia, full-on nostalgia, which I think has given it the staying power.
Yeah.
My favorite part of the movie, I just will say, is when it all goes bad and the dad's just like got a plan and they're going out for dinner.
Yeah.
Like that moment when he's just like chill and all he wants to do.
He's like, we're going out.
Yeah, 364 days of the year, he just thinks about that turkey.
Yeah.
It's ruined. He's going to get worms or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I guess the dogs do eat the
Yeah, they do.
turkey.
fully
They
eat
do.
it. Yeah.
But it just, maybe I was just like fully unplugged that point. But that moment to me was still like, I was like, that is like the epitome of like a nice Christmas moment where it's just like, whatever, we're just going to do a thing.
Yeah.
Right. All the, the pretense has fallen apart. So let's just enjoy each other's company and eat food and, whatever.
Yeah, it is. It's nice.
It also made me deeply anxious because I don't like gifts and I don't like stuff. And so like the idea of having, like I got to go home for Christmas and like the idea of flying back here with gifts is like a real nightmare. And seeing like all the stuff in their house is like, I was like,
You're like, no thanks,
all
no.
the open, like the, it was just like the bowling ball on the table. I was like,
Bowling ball. She didn't even put it in a box or in a bag. Or something.
It's a blue ball.
Wait, did he like that gift?
He kind of did, but he kind of was like, yeah, whatever.
Well, like, why
I don't think he loved it. Yeah.
I felt like he didn't bowl, maybe. Like,
Yeah.
that was like a weird part of that gift.
Or maybe he used to bowl like 10 years ago.
I don't know.
Now he only does puzzes.
Yeah. He's straight puzzing, bro.
He needs to know the Lone Ranger's cousin's horse name.
That's right.
Right.
Oh, man. All right. Well, you know what? We wouldn't be talking about this movie if there wasn't a sequel
That's right.
that we are forced to watch. No.
A Christmas Story also.
I'm looking forward to it because this is, I know we say this constantly, but this is one that when I tell people we're doing it, they really have said they made how many of those or,
Is Turbo Man in this one?
The movie is not called Another Christmas Story like you might think.
Wait, can you explain the Jingle All the Way reference?
So the movie next week is A Christmas Story 2, and for whatever reason it came out straight to DVD 2012, and it was directed by sequel rights all-star Brian Levant.
Oh boy.
Who also directed such movies as
Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way and Problem Child 2 and Beethoven.
Wait, you don't like Jingle All the Way? Is that a thing?
No, we like Jingle All the Way.
We just mean we've covered that movie and two of his other movies.
Yeah.
Oh no! Just when I said it was my favorite Christmas movie at the beginning of this year, I was like, ugh.
No. I think
it was
no.
It was the haze of Jingle All the Way 2, which
Jingle All the Way 2 is god awful.
No, the first
Jingle
one
All the Way we like, and
John
if
Cena
you
in
want to
the
go
second
back to listen to Jingle All the Way 1, my pal EJ De La Pena, who stars in the movie, is on the podcast.
Are you plugging your own podcast?
Yes.
on the
That's
podcast?
right.
Yeah.
Because we still get downloads on the old episodes.
People might not know.
we
They'd
got
be
a
like,
real-
A Christmas Story. I love that.
We got a
What else
legit
they
star
got?
from the movie on the podcast.
He has a Phil Hartman story about
That will
ribbing.
warm your heart.
Oh my god, you should
And
listen
butt.
to it.
I will.
You'd like it. But yeah, that's next week.
Speaking of Pacific
I don't know what's
Rim.
going to happen. I'm assuming it's about the same family. I don't know. We'll find
I have
out.
no idea.
I really have no idea.
It is a complete mystery to me.
It seems like something they shouldn't have made a sequel to. So,
Wait, what do
course
you
we're
think?
gonna
You think
watch it.
Randy will talk in it?
We might.
oh yeah.
Does he talk at all?
Yeah, he does. He says, "Daddy's gonna kill Ralphie."
Oh, right.
Oh, and he
makes
says
pig
like,
noises.
I can't move my
Oh yeah, I can't move my arms.
I can't put my arms
I hope
down.
there's a really weird Prague puppet show that he puts on.
Ugh.
Well, if it's not the same actors, then, I guess it won't happen.
Yeah, I don't even know if it'll be the same family. I know for sure that it ignores the events of all these other movies. That
I could
Gene
get a
Shepard
second
made.
point of it
booster and
being a
hallucinate it.
Yeah, we should all
Money?
hallucinate. That might be fun.
But it goes to your point that this probably wasn't a box office hit if it took them like 30 years
Yeah.
to make another one.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If there's an original that people liked and that title has any recognition whatsoever, it is on the table for sequels.
Yeah,
I feel like I could go back and get a master's degree and just talk about how much the cultural significance of TBS and TNT while they were just like making like whatever the cheapest thing that we can like air 24/7
Yeah.
really codified the culture of our generation.
Do you remember when Elf became like in the rotation?
Yeah.
And they were like, Will Ferrell was like, I just made so much money for the rest of my life because it's going to play like, it's like the Christmas song. Just bring this back. It's like that will play and he will get a royalty every time. It'll play like what? Like
Forever.
100 times this Christmas?
Yeah.
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 You'll
It's
just go
crazy.
on the TV and it'll be on like 5 channels or whatever. And
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. But
Well, that's why we're making Christmas episodes for all of you out there.
right. So we can collect those.
It's all about
podcast
the
royalties.
money.
That's how it works, right?
Yeah, you get the internet cash from South Park.
Every
back
time
when.
someone
Yeah.
plays. No.
We get Bitcoins. That's what I
Yeah. Well, Wes, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you for
this
having
was
me.
super fun.
It was amazing.
It's always fun to talk these movies with new people every week.
You want to plug your socials or anything?
Yeah. Where can people find the Darcys?
The Darcys. You know what? Actually, we made go back to the 2 dicks story. We made another log on the fire incense this year.
Yes.
And it burns and it smells like a camp or a
2
fire.
dicks. It smells like 2 dicks.
It smells like
2
dicks.
There's 2 distinct notes.
2 dicks lit on
You'd
fire.
think you wouldn't be able to tell what 1 dick and 2 dicks smells like, but you can.
They just got different roasts sort of hang to them. But the Darcys on Instagram, the Darcys on TikTok. That's where we are.
Sweet.
And, Spotify.
Spotify.
Which apparently are going to start paying per play for podcasts pretty soon. And that's what I'm hearing.
Oh,
Ooh,
there
are
we
they?
go.
What? How do we sign up?
How about
Yeah.
how about they pay artists? How about
Give us.
that?
I don't need to pay random people talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They have more missiles to buy.
That's right. AI missiles.
All right. Well, before we end things here, Eliz, where can people reach out to us every week?
Yeah, send us an email to sequelrights@gmail.com or find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Sequel Rights.
And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars goes a long way to helping other people find our little corner of the internet.
And until next week.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
We'll see you guys next week for A Christmas Story 2.
Another year, honey, where does the time go? The fire's warm, the house is decorated just so. When you look out the window to catch a glimpse of that first snow, I can see your silhouette, baby, in the Christmas lights glow. I wanna feel more connected, I wanna be more attentive. I love you, I need to express it. So